Jamal Carter, a 27-year-old waiter at the upscale Willow Creek Bistro, carried himself with a quiet confidence that belied the long hours he spent on his feet. Standing at 6 feet tall, with smooth dark brown skin and warm, deep-set eyes, Jamal had an easy smile that seemed to disarm even the most difficult customers. His short-cropped hair was always neatly trimmed, and his uniform, crisp white shirt, black slacks, and a navy apron embroidered with the restaurant's name, was immaculate. Born and raised in a close-knit neighborhood on the east side of town, Jamal was known for his calm demeanor and relentless work ethic. Friends described him as patient and dependable, always willing to lend a hand. But behind his composed exterior was a man driven by ambition. His dream was to own his own cafe one day, a place where community and good food could come together. While waiting tables paid the bills for now, he spent late nights studying business management courses online and experimenting with coffee blends in his small apartment. Jamal valued respect above all else. He believed in treating people with kindness, no matter their background or attitude, a principle instilled in him by his grandmother, who raised him after his parents passed away when he was a teenager. Still, there were moments when the world's unfairness tested his patience. In those times, he reminded himself of Grandma Elsie's words, "Never let their bitterness seep into your soul, baby. You rise above." It was this guiding principle that kept him composed, even on days when the job felt like a balancing act between grace and endurance. Mornings for Jamal began early. His phone alarm chimed softly at 6 a.m., and after a quick stretch, he brewed a cup of strong black coffee, his daily ritual before the chaos of the day set in. The small apartment was modest but neat, decorated with photographs of family and shelves lined with books on entrepreneurship. After a light breakfast, he double-checked his uniform, ensuring every crease was sharp and his name tag polished to a shine. By 7 a.m., Jamal was out the door, earbuds playing smooth jazz as he caught the metro downtown. The ride offered a rare pocket of peace where he could sip coffee, review his notes on business plans, or simply watch the city awaken. He arrived at Willow Creek Bistro before the 8 a.m. opening, greeting coworkers with nods and warm hellos as he helped set the dining area, adjusting table linens, polishing glasses, and ensuring silverware gleamed. Throughout the day, Jamal's routine was a blur of orders taken, plates balanced on arms, and conversations navigated with tact. He knew regular customers by name, Mrs. Reynolds, who always ordered chamomile tea with honey, or the Lawson family, whose kids adored his tableside magic tricks. His interactions weren't just transactions, they were moments to connect, even if fleeting. Lunch hours were hectic, voices blending with the clatter of dishes and the hiss of espresso machines. But Jamal thrived in the rhythm. Each day ended with him helping to clean up, thanking the kitchen staff, and offering a tired but genuine smile to anyone still lingering. By the time he returned home, exhaustion tugged at him, but he rarely collapsed into bed without reviewing the next step of his cafe plan or jotting down ideas for future menus. His life was a careful balance, routine with purpose, fatigue laced with hope. Willow Creek Bistro, nestled on a bustling downtown corner, was known for its rustic charm and refined menu. The exterior was adorned with brick walls covered in ivy, and large windows revealed the warm glow of Edison bulbs inside. On the sidewalk, wrought iron tables invited passers-by to linger over lattes, while the interior offered a cozy yet sophisticated atmosphere. Wooden beams stretched across the ceiling, and the aroma of fresh-baked bread and roasted coffee beans enveloped guests as they stepped inside. The dining area was arranged with dark oak tables, each adorned with small vases holding fresh flowers that changed with the season. A barista station hummed near the entrance, espresso machines steaming away as baristas crafted intricate latte art. Toward the back, an open kitchen allowed diners to glimpse the culinary artistry at play, chefs moving in a well-choreographed dance. The clientele was a mix of business professionals, tourists, and regulars who appreciated both the cuisine and the ambience. Jamal's station was often near the large front windows, where morning light spilled in, casting a golden hue over the neatly arranged tables. He liked that spot. It let him see the world passing by outside, a moving tapestry of people, cars, and city life. The soundscape was a blend of soft instrumental music, the murmur of conversations, and the occasional burst of laughter. Yet, amidst the elegance, there was an undercurrent of subtle tension on some days, particularly during peak hours when tempers ran high and patience thinned. The bistro prided itself on excellent service, and the management enforced a strict code of professionalism. While most patrons respected the staff, there were exceptions, customers whose sense of entitlement overshadowed basic decency. Jamal was no stranger to the occasional rude remark or dismissive attitude, but the environment generally fostered respect and civility. It was a space where he could focus on his work, find moments of connection, and, for the most part, feel valued. But as with any public-facing job, the unexpected was always just one table away. On this particular morning, the bistro hummed with its usual calm energy. Jamal moved gracefully between tables, offering smiles and taking orders with practiced ease. Yet, as the door chimed and a new customer stepped in, a well-dressed woman with sharp features and a gaze that seemed to scrutinize the room, there was a subtle shift in the air. Her high heels clicked against the polished floor, and she glanced around with an air of expectation that bordered on impatience. Jamal greeted her with his usual warmth, but something about the curt nod she gave in return sent a small ripple of unease through him. It wasn't the first time he had encountered someone who looked at him as if he were invisible, or worse, an inconvenience. Brushing off the initial tension, he seated her near the window, noting her designer handbag placed carefully on the table and the way she scanned the menu with pursed lips. Probably just another demanding customer, he thought. Nothing I haven't handled before. Still, there was a weight in his chest he couldn't quite shake, a quiet voice in the back of his mind whispering that this interaction might not go as smoothly as he hoped. Little did he know, the coming moments would test his composure in ways he hadn't anticipated. As Jamal approached the woman's table, his notepad ready, he offered his standard warm greeting. "Good morning, ma'am. My name is Jamal, and I'll be taking care of you today. Can I start you off with something to drink?" The woman barely glanced at him, tapping her manicured nails on the table. "Water. No ice," she said sharply. "And make sure it's bottled, not from the tap. I don't trust what you people consider clean." Jamal's smile faltered for a fraction of a second, but he caught himself. "Of course, bottled water. I'll be right back with that." Turning away, he exhaled slowly, willing himself to stay composed. "Don't take it personally," he reminded himself, "just another customer." Returning moments later, he placed the bottle and glass on the table with practiced care. "Here you go, ma'am. Ready to order, or would you like a few more minutes?" The woman sighed dramatically, flipping her menu closed. "I'll have the avocado toast, but tell the chef not to make it too spicy. Last time I was here, some idiot thought dumping pepper all over it was acceptable." "I'll make sure they prepare it just how you like," Jamal replied, jotting down the order. As he turned to leave, her voice rang out again, louder this time, drawing the attention of nearby diners. "Wait, are you seriously going to walk away before I'm finished? I asked a simple thing, and with your kind, I never know if I'll get what I asked for. Maybe I should speak to someone who understands customer service." A hush fell over the surrounding tables. Jamal's cheeks burned, but he kept his posture steady. "I assure you, ma'am, I'll make sure your order is perfect." She huffed, waving him off like a bothersome fly. "We'll see about that." Walking back to the service station, Jamal felt a swirl of emotions. Anger, embarrassment, disbelief, but above all, a deep weariness. He leaned against the counter, inhaling deeply to calm his nerves. What was that about? His co-worker, Lily, whispered, having witnessed the exchange. Jamal shook his head. "Just someone having a bad day, I guess." He tried to brush it off, but his heart pounded. The blatant disrespect wasn't new, but the public nature of it stung more than usual. His mind echoed with her words, "You're kind." No amount of professionalism could shield him from the weight of that phrase. Part of him wanted to confront her, to say something, but what good would it do? Management always emphasized keeping calm, no matter what. Still, swallowing the humiliation felt like biting down on glass. He glanced around the dining room. A few customers shot him sympathetic looks. Others pretended not to have heard. The mix of pity and silence was almost worse than the insult itself. Taking another breath, he straightened his shoulders. Focus on the job. Get through this shift. But as he entered the order into the system, a small voice in his head whispered, "You shouldn't have to put up with this." The rest of the morning dragged. Every trip to the woman's table was a minefield of passive-aggressive comments and thinly veiled insults. "Took you long enough," she muttered as he delivered her food. "What? You need a special degree to carry a plate." Jamal clenched his jaw but said nothing, focusing on keeping his breathing steady. Serving other tables offered brief reprieves, but returning to hers felt like stepping into a storm. His usual rhythm, graceful, fluid, was thrown off. He mixed up an order at another table, something he rarely did. His hands trembled slightly when pouring coffee. Lily caught him in the hallway leading to the kitchen. "Hey, you okay?" she asked gently. "I'm fine," Jamal replied automatically, though his tone was tighter than usual. "Just need to get through it." He tried to lose himself in the routine. Refill water glasses, clear plates, offer smiles. But the incident lingered like a weight on his chest. He'd faced rude customers before, but this was different. It wasn't just impatience or entitlement. It was personal. And the worst part? No matter how much he tried to shake it off, her words echoed louder with every passing minute. As he wiped down a table near the window, he caught his reflection in the glass. His face, usually calm, now showed the strain. Tensed brows, lips pressed into a thin line. This isn't right, he thought. Nobody should have to deal with this. And yet, the shift wasn't over. Just when Jamal thought the ordeal couldn't get worse, the woman called him back to the table. Her plate was empty, save for a small corner of avocado toast she had dissected meticulously. "This is unacceptable," she declared loudly, holding the toast between two fingers like it was contaminated. "I asked for it to not be spicy. Not spicy. And yet here I am, practically choking on whatever seasoning you people think is food." Nearby patrons stiffened at the phrase, "you people." A repeat offense, deliberate and cutting. Jamal's pulse quickened, his jaw tightening. "I apologize, ma'am. I'll speak to the kitchen." "I don't want another one," she snapped. "What I do want is to speak to a manager. Clearly, you're incompetent." Her voice, intentionally loud, sent a ripple of discomfort through the restaurant. Conversations halted, all eyes turned toward them. Jamal's face flushed with heat, but he kept his voice even. "Of course, ma'am. I'll get the manager right away." As he walked toward the back office, whispers followed him like a shadow. He heard snippets. "What's her problem?" "He's being so polite." But none of it eased the knot twisting in his stomach. Pushing open the manager's door, Jamal found Marcus, a calm, middle-aged man known for his level-headedness. "Hey," Jamal said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Table 7's asking for you." "It's bad." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "That the woman with the hat?" Jamal nodded. "Yeah, she's been making comments all morning. It's not just rudeness, it's personal." Marcus stood, smoothing his tie. "All right, let's handle this." As they returned to the dining area, Jamal felt a mixture of relief and apprehension. Marcus was fair, but he also ran a tight ship. Customer satisfaction was paramount. Still, something about the way Marcus squared his shoulders gave Jamal hope. Maybe, just maybe, someone would finally stand up to this. As Marcus approached the table, several regular customers glanced up, their expressions ranging from concern to quiet support for Jamal. Mrs. Thompson, a kindly retired teacher who always sat by the window, gave Jamal a reassuring nod. Lily hovered near the beverage station, arms crossed, clearly ready to intervene if things got worse. At table 6, a young couple whispered to each other, shooting disbelieving looks at the woman. One of them muttered, "She's been awful since she walked in." Poor guy. Even the cook, Carlos, peered out from the kitchen door, eyes narrowing at the scene unfolding. Marcus put on his best professional smile. "Good morning, ma'am. I'm Marcus, the manager. I understand there's been a concern with your meal." The woman didn't waste a second launching into a tirade. "Concern? That's putting it mildly. Your waiter," she spat the word like venom, "has been disrespectful, slow, and frankly, I don't think someone like him should be serving customers. This place has standards, doesn't it?" The room seemed to hold its breath. Marcus's smile faltered, his jaw tightening. "I appreciate your feedback, ma'am. Jamal is one of our best servers. I've never had a complaint about his professionalism before." The woman scoffed. "Well, maybe you're not paying attention. People like him." "That's enough," Marcus said, voice sharp enough to slice through the tension. The crowd stirred, a few people murmuring their approval. Lily stepped forward. "He's been nothing but polite," she added. "You're the one causing a scene." The woman glared at her. "I didn't ask for your opinion." Marcus took a breath, clearly working to keep his composure. Ma'am, we welcome everyone here, but we don't tolerate discrimination. If you're unhappy with the service, I'll gladly comp your meal. But if the disrespect continues, I'll have to ask you to leave. Standing a few feet away, Jamal felt a complicated tangle of emotions. Part of him was relieved Marcus was stepping in. Finally, someone was addressing the blatant disrespect. But another part of him churned with anxiety and anger. He hated being at the center of attention, especially like this. His job was to serve, not become the focal point of a public spectacle. Why does this keep happening? He thought bitterly. No matter how hard he worked, how polite he was, someone always seemed to find a reason to belittle him. Usually he shrugged it off, but today, it hit differently. He thought about his mother's words. Hold your head high, Jamal. Don't let people drag you down to their level. That mantra had guided him through countless encounters. But standing there, watching the woman's smug face, he wondered, how many times am I supposed to just take it? The room's atmosphere felt suffocating. Every pair of eyes on him was another weight pressing down on his shoulders. Was it pity he saw? Support? Or just curiosity at the drama unfolding? None of it felt good. He clenched his fists at his sides, nails digging into his palms. I should speak up, a voice urged. Say something. Don't let her get away with it. But another voice, quieter but persistent, whispered back. What if it makes things worse? What if management changes their tune? His stomach twisted. All he wanted was to finish his shift, go home, and forget this ever happened. But could he really just let it slide? Then his eyes drifted to Mrs. Thompson, who mouthed, You did nothing wrong. The young couple nodded encouragingly. Even Carlos, still watching from the kitchen, gave him a thumbs up. For the first time that morning, Jamal felt something other than shame. A flicker of pride. No, he hadn't done anything wrong. And maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to stay silent. The tension in the restaurant hung thick as Marcus waited for the woman's response. Her face twisted in indignation. You can't be serious, she hissed. You're taking his side over a paying customer? Marcus's gaze didn't waver. I'm taking the side of respect and basic human decency, ma'am. The woman opened her mouth to argue. But then, a new voice cut through the air. He's right, someone called from across the room. Heads turned toward a man standing near the entrance, his arms crossed. We've all been watching, lady. You've been out of line since you walked in. Other patrons chimed in. Exactly. No place for that here. You should be ashamed. Jamal's heart pounded. The support washed over him like a wave, warm and unexpected. The woman's expression darkened, her eyes darting around as the crowd's disapproval grew louder. And then, without thinking, Jamal stepped forward. His voice, calm but firm, carried across the room. All I've done is treat you with respect, ma'am. That's how I treat everyone. I just wish you'd do the same. The room fell silent again, but this time, it was a silence charged with anticipation. Something was about to give. The restaurant fell into a hush, the kind of silence that vibrated with tension and expectation. Jamal's words hung in the air like a held breath, simple, respectful, but carrying the weight of every insult and dismissal he had endured. The woman's mouth opened as if to retort, but the wave of disapproval from the crowd had shifted the power dynamic. What had started as her public spectacle had turned into something else entirely, something she no longer controlled. Marcus, standing tall beside Jamal, broke the silence. You've insulted my employee and made a scene in front of our customers. I've offered to comp your meal, but I won't allow this to continue. His voice was calm, but carried the authority of finality. The woman's face twisted with anger, her cheeks flushed. This is ridiculous, she snapped. All of you, overreacting to a simple complaint. A voice from the back counter cut in. Mrs. Thompson, standing now, her cane tapping the floor. Honey, I've been coming here for years. That young man has served me countless times with kindness and patience. You owe him an apology. The woman's eyes darted around the room, searching for an ally, but found none. Even the young couple at the next table looked at her with thinly veiled disgust. Then, something unexpected happened. Jamal stepped forward again, his voice softer but unwavering. Look, I don't need an apology. I just wanted to do my job without being talked down to. Everyone deserves that. The honesty in his words pierced the room's tension. Patrons murmured in agreement, nodding. The woman's bravado deflated, her shoulders sagging. For the first time that morning, She looked uncertain, her anger no longer a shield but a mask that had slipped. Marcus sighed. Ma'am, it's time for you to leave. Hesitating, the woman finally stood, gathering her things with jerky movements. She glanced at Jamal, her lips tightening into something that might have been regret, or just defeat, before she turned and stormed toward the exit, the door's chime echoing behind her. Relief washed through the room like a cleansing breeze. Conversations resumed, but the energy was lighter, supportive. Marcus clapped Jamal on the shoulder. You handled that well, he said. Jamal exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Did that really just happen? Just as Jamal began to relax, thinking the ordeal was over, his phone buzzed in his apron pocket. Curious, he pulled it out, only to see a flood of notifications from social media. What the? Lily hurried over, holding up her phone. Dude, she said, eyes wide. You're going viral. Viral? Jamal repeated, frowning. She spun her screen toward him. There it was, a video, already racking up thousands of views, showing the entire incident. The caption read, Waiter handles racist customer with grace. Manager's response is priceless. Jamal's stomach flipped. Wait, someone recorded that. Mrs. Thompson waved her phone sheepishly. Sorry, dear. I just thought people should see how you handled yourself. Didn't expect it to blow up like this. Marcus rubbed his face. Well, I guess this is happening. Jamal clicked on the video. His own voice played back to him, calm but firm. All I've done is treat you with respect. The comments section was already flooded. This man's professionalism is unmatched. That manager deserves a raise. Why can't more people handle things like this? Mad respect. Someone find this waiter and give him a hug. Jamal felt a swirl of emotions, disbelief, embarrassment, but also a strange warmth. People weren't just watching, they were supporting him. Then another notification popped up. Local news outlet wants to interview you. His eyes widened. Oh man. Marcus grinned. Guess you're famous now, huh? Jamal shook his head, laughing despite himself. I just wanted to serve coffee. Sometimes, Mrs. Thompson said wisely, doing the right thing gets noticed. Lily nudged him. Looks like you just taught a lot of people a lesson. Jamal glanced around the cafe, the place he'd worked quietly for years, now the backdrop of an unexpected spotlight. What a morning, he thought. What a twist. That night, lying in bed, Jamal scrolled through the countless supportive messages and reposts. His heart swelled with gratitude, but there was also an undercurrent of disbelief. How did a regular shift turn into this? His phone buzzed again, a text from his mother. Saw the video. Proud doesn't even begin to cover it. You held your head high, just like I taught you. Love you, baby. Tears pricked at Jamal's eyes. Love you too, Ma, he whispered back. He thought about the woman, her anger, her prejudice. Part of him still felt that old frustration, the unfairness of it all. But another part, stronger now, focused on the aftermath. He hadn't stooped to her level. He'd stayed true to himself. And people had seen that. Really seen it. His phone lit up again. This time a tweet from a major celebrity sharing the video. This man is the definition of grace under pressure. We could all learn from him. Jamal let out a stunned laugh. What is my life right now? Beneath the excitement, a deeper emotion stirred, validation. Not just from the internet or the media, but from standing up for himself. From refusing to let someone's ugliness dictate his worth. He turned off his phone, the room falling into quiet darkness. Breathing in deeply, he felt something settle inside him, a peace he hadn't expected. I did good today, he thought. I did real good. The next morning, the cafe buzzed with energy even before opening hours. News vans parked outside, and a line of customers stretched down the block. People wanting coffee, selfies with Jamal, or just to show their support. Marcus unlocked the door, glancing at the crowd. Wall didn't see this coming, he muttered. Jamal stood beside him, still adjusting to the sudden fame. His nerves fluttered, but as people entered with warm smiles and words of encouragement, anxiety gave way to gratitude. A woman stepped forward, middle-aged, holding a card. I just wanted to say thank you, she said. My son faces stuff like that, and seeing how you handled it, it meant a lot. Jamal's throat tightened. He accepted the card, nodding. That means a lot to me too. Thank you. As the day unfolded, something became clear. This wasn't just about him anymore. The incident had sparked conversations about respect, kindness, and standing up without lashing out. Later, as things calmed, Marcus pulled Jamal aside. Corporate called, he said. They're impressed, and they're offering you a promotion. Management track, if you're interested. Jamal blinked. Wait, really? You earned it, Marcus grinned. And honestly, I'd be proud to work for you. Jamal laughed, the weight of past doubts lifting. I'll think about it, he said, smiling. Over the following weeks, life shifted in ways Jamal hadn't anticipated. The viral video's momentum continued, leading to interviews, speaking invitations, and messages from strangers sharing their own stories. But beyond the media frenzy, something more personal unfolded. Confidence. Not the surface-level kind, but a deep-seated belief that his voice mattered. That he mattered. At work, he noticed subtle changes too. Customers who once overlooked him now greeted him by name. New patrons came in, drawn by the story but staying for the warmth of the cafe and Jamal's easy smile. Even the staff dynamic evolved. Lily teased him less about his quiet guy vibe, now calling him Mr. Famous with affectionate pride. Mrs. Thompson still sat at her usual booth, but now she often brought friends, proudly declaring, "This is his cafe." One afternoon, while wiping down tables, Jamal paused. Sunlight streamed through the windows, casting golden hues across the room. He smiled to himself. Funny how things change. He still had his insecurities, sure. Life wasn't suddenly perfect. But standing here, respected, valued, he felt something new blooming. Peace. That evening, Jamal found himself back at his favorite spot on the pier, the ocean stretching endlessly before him. Phone tucked away, noise quieted, he let the breeze wash over him. Who would have thought? A regular shift turned viral sensation. Insults transformed into opportunities, and through it all, he'd stayed true to himself. He thought about his mom's text, Marcus's support, the countless strangers who'd reached out with kindness. And yes, even the woman who'd sparked it all, her anger a catalyst for something unexpectedly good. Closing his eyes, Jamal breathed in deeply. I didn't set out to make a statement, he reflected, but maybe that's how real change happens, one moment, one choice at a time. He smiled, the ocean's rhythmic waves echoing the steady beat of his heart. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight he was proud. As Jamal stood to leave, his phone buzzed. Another message, another article. But he ignored it, savoring the present. Walking back toward town, he passed a young kid with his mother. The boy tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, that's the guy from the video." Jamal grinned and waved. The boy waved back, eyes wide with admiration. Turning the corner, he spotted the cafe in the distance, its windows aglow, laughter spilling onto the street. Home, he thought. Not just a job, not just a place, but a part of something bigger now. Pausing at the door, he glanced up at the sign overhead. A simple cafe in a simple town, but inside those walls, a story had unfolded. One of respect, resilience, and the quiet power of standing tall. With a final smile, Jamal pushed the door open. The bell chimed, warmth wrapped around him, and the world, frenzy and famous side, felt just right.